It's time now for Call of the Wild, the official weekly coaches show of the Wenatchee Wild. Stay up to date with your team all season long with Call of the Wild. With head coach and GM Bliss Littler, here's the voice of your Wenatchee Wild, Arch Ecker.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Call of the Wild, your weekly Wenatchee Wild coaches show. I'm Arch Ecker, and standing in for Bliss Littler this week is our associate head coach Leigh Mendelson. Your maiden voyage here on the program. Welcome.
Thanks for having me here today. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the week that was last week and then foreshadow what's coming up this week. Another busy week for the Wild, as we've had just a string of 3-game weeks, which will take its toll over time. But let's go back and we'll start off. The week began in Salmon Arm on Tuesday night. And it was one of those road games where, you come in digging, you've just come off a 3-game weekend. It's a real short turnaround. You don't have an opportunity to really reset. It was basically exhale, back on the bus. But, of course, this has never been a team that hangs its hat on excuses. But going into that building, the guys came out and put forth a pretty good effort.
Yeah, I do think, like you said, it's not an excuse, but I think just our focus after those 3 games and then having to climb back on the bus the next day, that kind of hurt our focus a little bit. And especially with some of the new guys that we have and some guys that are new to junior hockey, the grind started to get to them a little bit. We did show some good flashes. We dominated a lot of parts of the game, but the mistakes we made obviously were the mistakes that ended up costing us the game.
So it was a tough one that you lost 2 in a row and you came home, and then all of a sudden, for the first time this year, you get back-to-back home games, and that had to be a little bit of a treat to look forward and see those blue squares next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice for everybody, right? Even for the staff and for, not having to pack, not having to worry about getting on the bus right after the game or getting back later early in the morning and then having to jump back into it the next day. Just to be home 2 nights in a row is good for everybody, for sure.
A team like Surrey that we played on Friday night, you might look at their record and think, okay, well, maybe they're not going to be as formidable an opponent, but you would think that you would have learned that lesson by playing against Salmon Arm and Merritt, who are at the bottom of the standings. You can't look at records any night because in this league, there's no such thing as a night off.
No, and you know what? They came in and played hard. They're an older team. They had some pretty good strength, and where some of our younger guys don't have that strength yet, and it's just that washes the talent out right there. So I think a couple of guys were negated just on the strength factor, and then like you said, I think at times maybe we did look at the record and think this was going to be a cakewalk. So that's part of junior hockey. That's part of their development, to not look past records, to not worry about what standings guys are in, just to be ready to play and play our game, not worry about your opponent quite so much.
You got a little bit of a shot in the arm with the captain returning to the lineup, and what AJ Vanderbeck brings, not just on the score sheet, but having his presence there on the bench as a veteran leader, that it goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure. When he came out for practice the day before in a gray jersey without the red on and things like that, it did feel good, I think, even just for the coaching staff mentally, that we've got a veteran guy back in the lineup, our leader back in the lineup. But again, I think it helped the other guys out too. And then knowing probably at the same time that Lucas Sauter was another kind of day behind, just everybody's outlook got a little bit better and a little bit stronger. And those are nice things to get. And again, it's good for the younger guys to understand what the veterans mean to them too.
This is a club that's a pretty tight-knit group, and that's a tribute also to the recruiting skills that this staff has to put together a bunch of guys that can not only compete on the ice, but that will blend well together off the ice. And that being said, even a player like Lucas Sveikovsky, who has been out and away with an injury, he showed up, and just having his presence there kind of helped unite the bunch as well.
Yeah, it was kind of neat actually. Lucas had sent me a text on, I guess it was Friday, and he said, I'm going to be back in town. Should I wear a suit? And I said, definitely come in the locker room, wear a suit. And when he walked in the room wearing a suit, everybody was pretty excited to see him. And again, that kind of raised the spirits a bit too.
The game against Penticton, it's always going to be one that gets circled on the calendar, regardless of standings or whatnot. They've just sort of become a rival.
Sure.
Perhaps geography's part of it, and the fact that they've got such a great pedigree. And I know the fans were looking forward to it, and they were not disappointed. It was a really very exciting game.
Good game. I mean, I think kind of like the 2 biggest guys on the block, so to speak, right? We feel we're one of the better organizations, and they're certainly one of the better organizations. So anytime those 2 teams get together and somebody wants to show some dominance over the other, and I think our guys did a great job. We had obviously quite a few games leading into that game where we'd given up the first goal. So one of the main focuses of us in preparation was scoring the first goal, and we did accomplish that. Obviously, they answered back with 2, but as we never do, we didn't stop playing, and we played real well, actually, and ended up winning the game.
The special teams has been, it's always an area that teams focus on, and this club has obviously shown that, the mantra of making plays, it really comes to fruition when we have the power play opportunities. And right now the Wild leading the league in power play goals and chances and opportunities. And I think, from your standpoint as a coach, what is it that leads to the Wild having so many power play opportunities?
Well, we don't play. We have the puck a lot. We don't play a lot of dump and chase hockey. We have puck possession. We're skating through the neutral zone with the puck. We have guys that are comfortable with the puck on their stick. So in order to slow them down or impede them, people are hooking, slashing, holding us to try to get the puck back. If we dumped and chased, we would maybe get more penalties because we're finishing checks. Our sticks might come up and things like that. But since we are a puck possession team, the other team's got to get it back somehow, and sometimes you have to take penalties to do that.
So now an interesting situation because you just get done with this big win over Penticton, and it's a lot of fun, and the home crowd, Saturday night, feeling good. You got to turn around very quickly, hop on a bus, and head up and play Penticton in their barn just 72 hours later. So tell me about your message as a staff to the players to kind of keep them mentally where you want them to be in preparation for this game.
Well, I think it's good in a number of ways because first of all, we know how they play. Maybe in their minds, in Penticton's mind, we didn't see their best game, but we know how they play. We know what they want to do in certain situations. So we have some familiarity just in a short time, and as you said, a quick turnaround. So I think there should be some confidence, but at the same time, some respect for how they play. And our message has really been to our leaders more than to the whole group. This is when they have to start taking control of the team and try to explain to them what they're going to go in and face in that building with that team at home, and potentially how the calls might not go our way, especially early in that building, and just to be consistent in our effort and to keep doing the things we're doing on the ice.
Penticton seems to be a team and an organization that'll give you a good, hard, clean, honest game, and it seems that in some respects, in that way, they're very similar to the Wild. Do you enjoy playing against teams that are like-minded in that way, or do you like seeing a variety?
Yeah, I guess you don't really have a choice, right? But that was a good hockey game. It was up and down, both teams making plays, and some good physicality, a little bit dirty at times, obviously, with a couple of things that went on in the game on Saturday night. But for the most part, I guess we don't, like I said, we don't have much of a choice, but our guys have to be able to rise above things and continue to play the way we want them to play and not get distracted, and just continue to make plays. That's the biggest thing here is if we can make plays, we're going to be just fine in the long run.
It's Associate Head Coach Leigh Mendelson. He's filling in this week for Bliss Littler, who's attending to some family issues, and he'll be back on the bench soon. Wanted to say that, or ask you from a coaching standpoint, no coach that really ever advances anywhere or wins championships is 100% satisfied with what's going on with their team on the ice. So I guess with that said, what are some of the areas that you're looking at right now with your team that you're trying to shore up as we move forward about a third of the way through the season?
Oh, we just want our guys to continue to make steps. We do a lot of video work here, and what we're trying to get away from is seeing the same clip 3 weeks in a row, the same mistakes, things like that. And again, we have patience for it, but at some point in time, if it's the same people making the same mistakes, then it's either our message isn't getting through and it's our fault. And between Bliss, Clarkie, and myself, I think there's a good way that we can all deliver the same message 3 different ways. So we're trying to cover it from all bases. But at some point, if it's the guys that don't get the message or can't process it, then those are things we have to deal with as well. So I just think we just continue to grow and continue to get better. Our systems have started to tighten up. Our positioning has been better. We're doing a real good job off of face-offs. We'd like our penalty kill to be better in general. We need to block more shots. And again, that's with a lot of guys new to junior hockey. I think in midget hockey and younger, blocking shots is somewhat incidental. And here it's a requirement. So that's a big difference too.
Well, we talked a lot about Penticton in the Wednesday game. Of course, Friday we traveled to Vernon, and the Vipers have obviously proven themselves to be one of the top teams in the interior division. And then on Saturday, we come back home to face the Alberni Valley Bulldogs, an Island Division team. But the big story on Saturday is the fact that it's Pink at the Rink night. And Lee, I saw you out here on Sunday walking around and watching as players and fans and whatnot wrote on the ice. Tell me your, I don't know, your impressions of that event.
I mean, it's amazing to see the rink behind us, and to see it as a finished product is even more impressive. Just people, how much cancer, how many people cancer's lives have touched, and to see everybody who has have a memory or someone that they wanted to represent through the drawing on the ice and things like that. So, I mean, obviously we have some of our players that have had some personal, close personal encounters with the disease, and I think everybody probably in the world knows somebody that's been affected by it. So it's a powerful deal, and when you see it on the ice, when you see the amount of I don't want to call it decoration, but the amount of remembrances on the ice, it's pretty awesome.
Think at the Rink Night is happening on Saturday, October 28th, when the Wild face the Alberni Valley Bulldogs. It's going to wrap it up for this week. I want to thank Leigh Mendelson for stopping in and filling in Bliss's absence.
Thanks for having me, Arch.
Best of luck to you. That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next time here on your Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network.
You've been listening to Call of the Wild, the official weekly coaches show of the Wenatchee Wild, a presentation of the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network.